Hello. Right. This one is moving on from the perimeter lesson previously, and this is circumference. Now, circumference, let's have a look, is to do with circles. And all the way around a square shape, or a rectangular shape, or a triangular shape is called a perimeter. But when it's a circle, it's called the circumference. And there are another thing you need to know. So the circumference is all the way around. Now that's the center. Yeah, there's the center. This line is called the diameter. And this is all the way across from side to side, and it has to go through the middle. Now, from the middle to the outside, this is called the radius, and this will come into play quite a lot in maths as you progress through the different bits and pieces. Now, from the middle to the right hand side, the radius is exactly the same as from the middle to the left hand side, which is another radius. So I'll put a radius in there. Yeah. So we've got our first little thing to remember, that is 2 times the radius. Ooh, that's supposed to be a U. 2 times the radius. 2 times the radius equals the diameter. And of course, half of a diameter will equal a radius. Now this is a need to know, because sometimes if they're going to ask you to work out the circumference, they might either give you the radius or the diameter of a circle, and you need to know. If you're being given the wrong thing, you need to be able to work out the other. So you're either doubling the information you've got, or you're halving the information you've got. Now, the other thing that we need to know is, I think we touched on this before in one of the lessons, is this letter pi. And this has a value of approximately 3.14. Yeah. It's a number, it's called an irrational number. It's a number that goes on forever and ever and ever, and you never finish it. Yeah. And it's about 3 times. So what this means is that the circumference, whoa, the circumference is about 3 times the diameter. It's a bit more, it's 3.14 times the diameter. Yeah. So if you think of the length of that as 10, the diameter is 10 all the way around, the circumference is about 30. Yeah, 30 and a bit. So it's 3. So it's 3 times, all the way around is 3 times of what it is across. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the diameter or the circle is. So we need now to have a formula to help us calculate the circumference. And you will be expected to remember 3.14, or they will tell you in the question that pi equals 3.14. Depending on how complicated it is, they might say pi equals 3 or pi equals 3.1, or pi equals 3.14. Yeah? The more decimal places we've got in this, the more accurate our answer will be. And there is also a pi button on your calculator. If there isn't, if there isn't, then go and buy one with a pi button on. Yeah, on my calculator that I've got, it's a little yellow symbol above the button in the middle at the bottom. It's the pi button, and the pi button, if I press my pi button, go shift pi equals, it actually comes out as 3.141592654. So you can see by using the pi button on your calculator, your answer will be much more accurate. See this number? 141592654. You're just going to go on, and that's as far as my calculator can handle, but this number does go on forever. So we'll assume, for the purpose of these couple of questions, that the pi is 3.14. Now, what's this formula that we need? What's this formula that we need to work out the... Let's draw another circle. And the formula is C equals pi d. C meaning circumference, pi meaning we'll call it 3.14, and d is for the diameter. So, given that information, C equals pi d, I think this is something to remember. It certainly is as you go on through maths, but if you can remember as much as you can, it saves you going, oh no, I could do this easily if they told me what it was, but that's the whole point of maths, is you've got to remember stuff. And there's an awful lot to remember, I know. So let's go. Can I go with that? I drew a straight line through the middle, yeah? And so we'll call the diameter 20 centimeters. So we want to work out what the circumference is. C equals pi d, which is C equals 3.14 for the moment, times d, which is this one, 20. Well, I put 30, it's 20. So we can have 3.14 times 20, which is 62.8. 62.8 centimeters, yeah? So that's as accurate as the number that we use for pi. If I use the pi button, so shift pi times 20, I'm going to get 62.83185 and all the rest of it, yeah? And so this will do for now. So let's not do another one. I'll just use the same. I will remember that, yeah. The dots away. So here's another circle, and this time the length from the middle to the outside is 4 meters. Big circle, yeah. And so we want to find out what that is, and C equals pi d is the formula that we're going to use. So C equals 3.14. Yeah, so we're going to say pi equals 3.14. That might be in the question, yeah? Times the diameter. Now, this is the radius. So we need to remember the radius is half the size of the diameter. So we need the diameter in our thing. So instead of 4, we put 8. So we've got 3.14 times 8, which which is 25.12, 25.12 centimeters, and that's it. Yeah. So you've got you can be given the radius, you can be given the diameter, and as long as you can remember c equals pi d, you can work out the circumference. Right. Find the circumference of each of these circles. Give your answer to 2 decimal places. Right, now let's go back here. And I think we've done this with rounding. Decimal places. Just a little tiny little recap on decimal places. 3.962. Yeah, this number has 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. It's the number of digits after the decimal point. Yeah? If you wanted that number to be 2 decimal places, you round. And you remember, you go to the second decimal place, which is here. There's the second decimal place. You go to this number, and this determines what you do with the number 6. Because this is less than 5, we just ignore it, and that would be 3.96 to 2 decimal places. Yeah. If you get 4.186 and you want that to be 2 decimal places, you go to that number there, the second decimal place, look at that one, and that determines what you do to the 8. And this is 5 and above, so you add 1 onto the 8 to call it 9. 4.19 to 2 decimal places. And always put that, if you can remember, after your number to show whoever's marking it that you have in fact done that to 2 decimal places. You've done the rounding up. So let's go back to this one again. Find the circumference of each of these circles. Right, first of all, c equals pi d. So the circumference equals 3.14 times d, which is twice that, because d is all the way across, times 12. And 3.14 times 12 is going to give me 37.68. Now I'm going to use the pi button just to see. So pi times 12, this can only be done on a calculator, by the way, equals, and this comes up when using the pi button on my calculator, my answer is 37.6991184. Now, if I want to round that to 2 decimal places, I go there. Oh, this is awkward, isn't it? And I go there. And so that 9 is more than 5, so that makes that 10, and that makes that 7. So I've got 37.70 as 2 decimal places. Yeah, that's a bit weird, that one. What about this one? C equals pi d. So I'm going to go C equals 3.14 times 7. Now, because I've got 2 decimal places in my value of pi, I'm always going to get 2 decimal places as the answer. So that will equal 3.14 times 7. And this is 21.98. 21.98 centimeters. Don't forget that, centimeters. So now I'm going to use the pi button on my calculator. I'll show you where it is in a minute. So I'm going to go shift pi times 7, which gives me 21.9911485, hundreds of numbers, yeah? 2 decimal places, I want that one. That, look at that one, ignore it. So I get 21.99 centimeters. Forgot the centimeters there. Centimeters to 2 decimal places. Oh, I'm writing on the table here. How clever. Yeah. Okay, so doing the pi button, and let's have a look at this, see whether I can put this in for you. I would like to see the minutes. See whether I can just do this for you to show. Let's insert a picture that I have just this second taken. Yeah. So, big grub in my calculator. Sorry, ashamed. Right, so there we go. And you can see at the bottom, I've used the button so much I've had to put like what's Tipex on. So you can see at the bottom there is my pie. And up in the top left hand corner there'd be a shift, and all these yellow ones are the shift functions. So I'm just going to press shift and then that button, the times 10x, whatever that is, yeah, instead of the 3.14, and it gives me a much more accurate answer. Okay, perfect worksheet on this, and see you in the next one.